Hi everybody, welcome to this session. I've been looking forward to this one. Luware are a great supporter of empowering cloud, and they've got a great product and quite an interesting portfolio in the Nimbus solution. So I've been working with Ollie. We're going to go through this session of what Nimbus is and some customer use cases, and also into the pricing and how it all works. Ollie, thanks for joining us. Do you just want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. So I'm Ollie at Luware. I'm an account and partner manager here. So I manage a lot of our UK partners and customers in the UK.
Awesome. Thanks, Ollie. And we're going to try not to get into trouble with marketing here, but we're going to dive into the specifics and the use cases. So do you just want to just kick us off, talk us about like kind of the background to Nimbus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a great place to start is the general purpose and philosophy around Nimbus and what we were really trying to achieve. And I think a lot of that comes back to the architecture and the cloud model that we've built this on. So try not to go overly technical, but I think that is really a key differentiator for us. There are obviously loads of Teams integrated contact center on the market now, and everybody's felt the need to integrate with Teams. But the way that we've done this actually has quite a clear direction and is quite a big differentiator. So the way we'd position Nimbus is as a service app for Teams, so it doesn't operate outside of Teams. And we've been certified by Microsoft at the extend level of integration. So there's no SPCs required. You don't need to send the call back to the SPCs or anything like that. Call comes in, you can deliver that call with direct routing, calling plans, operator connect, however you see fit, and then we will handle that call from there.
Yeah, I think that's a really big important point. Is that, like you say, there's loads of certified contact centers for Teams, but there's different levels of certification, and most of them are basic connect SIP trunk models. So they're essentially firing phone calls into Teams, really. Whereas you guys have got the more API integrated model, which we'll talk about in this session, unlocks some clever potential, including bringing your own number in any combination of direct routing, operator connect, or calling plan, and you can even mix and match those on your deployment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. From a deployment perspective, it makes it a lot more straightforward. Then also it gives us access to the whole Microsoft ecosystem, as we'll talk about. It was very important for us to build this as a true SaaS model. So that when people say, or when vendors say they've got a cloud offering, it can mean a few different things, but this is a true SaaS model. All you have to do, all the customer has to do is install an app into their tenant and we run everything else.
Yeah, I like to, when you're right, everybody likes to say SaaS because it's the cool thing to say. And then I'm like, can we get a basic setup in under an hour? It's like, no, well, okay, that's not SaaS, is it? Because you're clearly spinning something up. But yeah, we did this with some of your friends there. We did a live session where we got it up and running in 25 minutes. So it's legit SaaS ready to go.
But yeah, that's it. That should be the litmus test. Can you install it in under an hour to call it SaaS?
I always like to throw down the challenges.
Exactly.
So yeah, talk us through what it is in terms of the platform and what that unlocks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we built this, as I said, on the extend architecture, and one of those reasons is to make it really easy to deploy. But I think once you build a platform using the Microsoft APIs and the Graph API and using Azure, it actually unlocks the other technology stacks within Microsoft. So our philosophy really is that if Microsoft is building and designing something, then they're obviously going to have more resource than us to do that. So for example, if we need to integrate into third-party CRMs, it means that we can really easily use their Power Platform and Power Automate. If we want to do some clever stuff around bringing voice, video, chat, I'll mention it now, OpenAI, then using...
Yeah, we got 5 minutes without mentioning OpenAI and ChatGPT. Well done.
Yeah, I think that's some sort of record, isn't it? So yeah, but just by having access with the APIs to the Microsoft ecosystem, it means that when these technologies evolve, it means that we're in the perfect position architecturally to actually take advantage of these. So with Power Automate, for example, that means that we can integrate into these third-party platforms and databases. Geocommunication services means we can bring in that voice, video, chat, and other trends that are coming in the market.
Yeah, I think the Power Automate stuff is really exciting, and there's such a big ecosystem forming around that. The fact you can integrate with that and trigger from that and have triggers for that is really interesting.
Absolutely. So coming into what that actually gives you or gives a customer in terms of outcomes, when traditional UCaaS or CCaaS vendors say, okay, yes, we can integrate into Salesforce or Dynamics, what that typically means is they've got a set list of 5 or 6 use cases, and then anything over and above that will require some development work. With Power Automate, because it's just low code, drag and drop flow, what that allows us to do is really examine the customer use case, build a flow that's unique to them. And that's not days and days of development. that's a couple of hours of building a Power Automate flow. Some examples there is obviously pulling data from a CRM. So as a caller comes in and they're recognized in the CRM, we can show that to the agent. We can pop out individual records or searches based on that incoming caller. And then some other kind of more nuanced or advanced features there around the routing is really examining the incoming caller, doing a lookup back to the CRM or database system using Power Automate, and then making routing decisions based on that. So say, for example, they're a VIP customer, we can recognize that as soon as they call in and route them to a high priority queue.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting here is if you're savvy end customer, you can obviously do this stuff yourself, but also if you're a partner, this is a great opportunity to add real value beyond just reselling or recommending the SaaS into let's work with you to go into your business processes and unlock the kind of true value.
Yeah, 100%. This is a massive area for MSPs and partners who have that expertise in the Power Platform to add a lot of value. Customers, this is where you can add that value. We had a really cool example the other day, an energy company. They wanted to allow their customers to ring up and enter their meter readings via the IVR, so a fully automated process. So we built using Power Automate, they can enter their customer number, that will look up against the database, and then they can then enter their meter reading, and that will check that it's greater than their previous reading, but also check that it's valid and the right number of digits. For example,
that's awesome that you can get to that level of business process with the platform and Power Automate and diving into the database, and it's really neat.
I think that took one of our pre-sales, a couple of hours to build from start to finish. So that kind of thing obviously was possible on legacy platforms, on the cloud platforms, but you're probably looking at a lot more development time.
Yeah, and also very proprietary solutions. Like the nice thing about doing it around Power Automate is the next person can come along and have an idea of how that process works because it's a standardized process to connect systems.
Exactly. So shall we move on to some of the modules available within Nimbus?
Yeah, that's taken us through the foundations of what kind of where you're coming from and it's cloud, but let's get into how it really works. So modules is a great place to go. So Nimbus is modular. So what does that mean?
So we have 6 different modules that are available. We'll start with these core modules. Now, we really wanted to build a platform that wasn't one size fits all. Okay, we've obviously got your traditional contact centers, which you'll see here to top right, but I think it was really important to us to offer advanced functionality but make it accessible to other use cases and other user groups. So what we've done is we've built advanced and enterprise routing, and these are designed to fit that requirement where a user group doesn't need full-blown contact center functionality, but they certainly need more than what Teams offers out the box. So with advanced routing, we have the ability for users to log in and out of call groups. They can see live reporting, historical reporting. We've got a really intelligent drag and drop call flow building tool. With enterprise routing, we layer on top of that. So we have parameter-based routing. So that's where we're allowing you to use Power Automate to route based on different fields in Power Automate. You can have reason codes, outbound calling, and integrate into those third-party CRMs. And then with contact center, this is your more traditional contact center environment. So you've got your skills-based routing, wrap-up time, custom dashboards, outbound campaigns, monitoring, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I like that you say you've got those levels where this often happens with Teams is people hit the edge of call queues and auto attendance, and the next jump is up to fully fledged contact center, but they're not a contact center. They just have some advanced routing scenarios, or they just want really robust reporting. So the fact you've got that kind of levels, and I'm guessing as a customer, I could mix and match use cases there. So I might have a part of the business that only needs advanced routing and a part of the business that is a legit contact center.
Yeah, 100%. Nearly all of our customers, whether they're a contact center or other use cases, if they have an internal help desk, they will nearly always license their help desk with enterprise routing, for example. So that's that really nice use case where you need more than what Teams offers out of the box, but they're probably not considered full-blown contact center. And the kind of the way that we've licensed these really makes it flexible. So advanced enterprise routing, instead of licensing per user, which most other vendors would, we've licensed these per call group or per service or per queue. So let's say you've got an IT help desk. They might have a new tickets queue and an existing tickets queue, so 2 separate queues or 2 separate call groups. We would just say that's 2 advanced routing or 1 advanced routing and 1 enterprise routing.
Yeah, I really like that again, because like in that scale of business, I might be adding and removing people from those queues. I don't really know quite what the model is. I just like pay for the queue. I've got the functionality and I can know I've got a set price, even if I want to add a couple of agents later on.
Exactly. And the use cases like clearing, for example, you need something that you can spin up quickly, easy to manage, and then just add, you can add up to 50 users in an enterprise routing queue. So you can just add users and then remove them. But as you said, you only pay that cost for the queue.
Yeah. And as a customer in some other solutions, I need to buy the contact center to unlock the capabilities, and then I can license the other capabilities. But in this, I could just be an enterprise routing customer or just an advanced routing customer.
Yeah, absolutely. We have customers that start on advanced routing. You've always got that option to move up as well. So let's say you wanted to get your foot in the door, you wanted some reporting, you wanted that intelligent routing, and then 6 months later you want to add the CRM integration. Then you can just uplift to enterprise routing. The attendant console, which we haven't mentioned here, that's an add-on to the routing. So this is that kind of operator switchboard role where you can easily blind transfer, soft transfer. You can look up contacts, see presence, and then really transfer those calls efficiently.
Awesome. So the attendant console scenario where I would need advanced routing or enterprise routing plus the attendant console.
Yeah. So let's say you've got a scenario where you've got 5 sites, okay, each with their own mainline office number. We would say, okay, each of those sites can have an advanced routing license, so they get the ability to have all that reporting. And then you might have 2 attendant console users at each site. So you'd have 10 attendant console users, 5 advanced routing.
Cool. And that's a named user in the attendant console scenario?
It is, yeah.
It really helps me understand how those two together. So we talked about the 4, and we'll get into the pricing towards the end here so people can understand that, because that's always an important question. But there's 4 and you mentioned 6. So what are the other 2 kind of optional or use case based modules?
Yeah, we've got a really interesting module here called Interact, and there is still a lot of work going into this and a lot of development and some exciting releases coming up this year. But essentially what Interact allows you to do is it opens up other channels of communication into your Teams users and into your contact center. That opens up voice, video, web chat, and screen sharing sessions straight from your website into your Teams users. Visitors to your website, they will just use the website. Okay, they don't have to download anything. But when you start a voice call or a video call, we can route that to a Nimbus service. So your users are just using Teams to respond to those.
Yeah, and you talked about building on Microsoft. For those that aren't familiar, Azure Communication Service is the underlying kind of media services foundation of Teams. So when you're having a Teams meeting, you're essentially on this platform, but Microsoft also provide the platform to ISVs to integrate. So as Ollie said, you can have a patient running in a browser and it's NHS ABC hospital branded, nothing to do with Teams, but on the back end, the nurse or the doctor or the specialist is on Teams, and you've got that secure end-to-end Azure Microsoft approach to it all.
Yeah, and that really just makes people comfortable when it comes to security. You're not having to hand out any of those communications to third parties. It stays in your tenant. We've got a really interesting customer here who's using Interact. They've set up a virtual bank shop. So you can go into their website. You can actually see individual users, who's available, who's not available. So it's essentially like going into a shop and saying, okay, I can speak to you. Can you help me with this? Start a video call. We are launching web chat into this at the start of Q2. So you'll be able to start an interaction via web chat, and those web chats will just be distributed via Nimbus as Teams chats. So your users will just use Teams to respond to that.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And this is starting to hit into that kind of, so Microsoft talk about connect, extend, power being using ACS. We're starting to get into that kind of power territory, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. And I'd say there's obviously a lot of talk in the industry about, okay, who's extend, who's power. The way I'd position it with Nimbus is that we're using both. And we're using power where it makes sense to use power, so for those external interactions, and we're still using extend to do that core voice routing and call handling, because we don't want to rebuild the team call window. Okay, that's not in our interest. Microsoft done a great job with that, but we want to bring in those external interactions and use ACS to do that. So I'd say that's where the power and extend work really nicely together.
Yeah, Microsoft are putting huge investment into ACS and rounding out the functionality and adding different pieces. So you're inheriting all that value, as you said, building on the platform, which is nice.
100%. So if we just finish final module here is Luware recording. We're actually using a third party here. We're using Variant Financial Compliance, and there's very specific reasons to do that. We provide recording for training purposes, quality management purposes, but also a lot of our customers use us there for their compliance recording. We have some large global banking customers, and we're able to record obviously all Teams interactions. So that's Teams voice, video, messaging, screen sharing. But with our compliance recording platform, we can also record other services as well. So for example, where you've got your trading turrets and your trading platforms, we can record those as well.
Yeah, Variant is obviously very well respected brand in that space, and it's building on the old, for those in the industry, old Berber technologies that they acquired. So yeah, good to know you've got that in your kit bag, and that extends beyond the contact center scenarios as well, as you say. So it's not just your agents as such, that could be the wider teams as well, potentially.
Yeah, any Teams user use recording. What we've done is we've built CRM Financial Compliance as a cloud offering. So you can just purchase on a per user per month basis. So we run all of that for you. Traditionally, when you're setting up a variant infrastructure, you need to actually build out the infrastructure. But we've built that, and now we just offer that on a cloud offering hosted in Azure.
Nice. And model-wise, is that a minimum seat count, or how's that work?
Yeah, minimum of 10, so not a very high entry point, but then it's just pay user per month. But yeah, it's a very straightforward commercial model.
Nice. And again, I can mix and match these use cases. So I might just take recording from Luware. I could take some recording and some advanced routing, some attendant console. I could take contact center and recording. This is all mix and match to meet the business requirements. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. So recording can be procured independently, or you could add it to contact center users or mix and match it. So I think probably what everyone wants to see.
Yeah, everyone wants to know how much it costs. It's a fair question, and nobody wants to talk about it. Thanks for being super transparent with this. Yeah, this is pricing for advanced routing, enterprise routing, and contact center. Is this from a minimum number of users, a maximum number of users? Let's dig into how this works.
Yeah, so we do have a more complete price book than this, and we do actually scale this by volume. So obviously, customers, if they're buying one license, will get a different price to if they're buying 200 licenses. But we've actually mapped that out in advance. So we're not just putting our finger in the air and saying, oh, I think, yeah, we'll charge this. So there is a full tiered license model. So this is from one advanced routing and one enterprise routing upwards. So you're paying 90 euros. We've decided to do it in for this, but we also sell in pounds, dollars, and Swiss francs. So 90 euros per advanced routing service and 185 per enterprise routing service.
Yeah, so I think that's super important to be super clear on that, because we're so defaulted into per user per month pricing. So those are both per service, not per user. So I can literally have one advanced routing line number, and that's my cost, even up to, I think you say 50 agents on that scenario.
Yep. Yeah, so up to 50 users can log in and out of an advanced routing on an enterprise routing service. So yeah, it has the opportunity to be really scalable and cost effective. So you could have an IT help desk, a customer service queue, and a sales queue. So 3 enterprise routing services, all with CRM integration, outbound calling, live reporting, historical reporting, and pay 500, 600 euros a month. And you could have 150 users on that.
And then that 90 and 185 respectively are the starting point. So if people are stacking lots of those, that tiers downwards. Is that right?
Yeah, if you get up to 100 plus advanced routing, it's roughly half that unit price.
Awesome. And then contact center, we move into per user model, don't we?
Correct, yeah. So for the contact center groups, so you would say, okay, this group of users need outbound call campaigns or custom dashboards, for example. We'd say for that, or barge monitor whisper. We'd say for that group of users, everyone needs a contact center license. So we've said, okay, this is our 25 plus price, okay, 25 users plus. So you might have a customer service team with 25 contact center agents, each paying £77 per user, but then you can still add other user groups with advanced or enterprise routing.
Awesome. And then we talked about the attendant console, the recording, the ACS. Those are more of a conversation depending on requirements. Is that right?
Yeah, that they each have a per user per month license cost. So yeah, we're happy to share those. We just wanted to keep it a bit uncluttered, but yeah, each of those just have a per user per month license cost.
That's great. Yeah, I think hopefully we've got across to people what the options are. That's one of the challenges of having such a portfolio of services, is making it clear what fits where. In terms of like customers this is suitable for, Ollie, who's the typical customer? What's the typical size? How's it range?
Yeah, I think we've got two types of customers or two types of use cases. We've got the traditional contact center customers who are coming off something like a Cisco, a Mitel, or a Avaya, and have a contact center, and they know they have a contact center. Then obviously we'll talk to them about the routing, but we'll probably predominantly focus around the contact center functionality. So that's quite simple.
Yeah, because they aim to buy a contact center, right? They've got one, they're replacing one, that's their level.
Yeah. The more interesting, or the opportunity, especially for partners, or the more interesting use case where perhaps they don't have anything at the moment to replace, is that routing use case where where a customer might have multiple sites and say, okay, for each site, we're going to give an advanced routing license. Okay, that's what we've done for a lot of customers, and it just elevates the functionality available for those sites when perhaps all they had before was just basic dial tone. Okay, or attendant console, or maybe they're different departments within an organization. So you can suddenly say, okay, for the sales team, we're going to give you the screen pop functionality, we're going to give you the CRM integration, we're going to give you some reporting that you never had before, but at a cost effective.
That's really nice. And we talked about a partner model briefly. What is that partner model?
Yep. So we have channel resellers who effectively can resell Nimbus licensing to their customers or to new customers. And our most successful partners, or what we really encourage partners to do to be able to add value, is to install the Nimbus services themselves, provide the consultancy, the scoping, the support there afterwards, because that's where you can really add value as a partner. We want to focus on developing the software and developing that as well as possible. And our partners can really help us obviously get to market, but then add the value in terms of consulting on, okay, do you need advanced routing, enterprise routing? This feature can help you here, and then supporting it thereafter.
Yeah, and all that automation and line of business integration, I think that's a fantastic opportunity. Like, partners are looking for ways to add value. Things are getting easier with UCaaS on the core, so you have to start pushing into business use cases, and that's a great way to differentiate, I think.
Yep, 100%.
So if people want to find out more, Ollie, what's the best thing to do?
Yeah, just reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, be able to find my email, or just register on the website. You can request a demo on our website pretty easily, and then we'll get in touch. We're serving multiple regions now, so if you're from another region, get in touch. We'll put you in touch with the right people.
Awesome. Thanks, Ollie. That's really clear. I hope everybody got a lot of value from that. If you've got any questions, comments, or feedback, drop them in the comments below, and I'm sure Ollie will come back to you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.